Hey, today I'm talking about 3 films that Orson Welles directed. And the names of those 3 films are The Stranger, Confidential Report, and The Trial. First up is The Stranger. This is a 1946 film and it's really good. The basic premise is it is just after World War II and the Allied forces are trying to track down all of the Nazis that ran away, in particular the really high up ones, and one of them is just kind of completely vanished. So they release a different high up Nazi to hopefully have him lead them to this other one. And wouldn't you know it takes them to small town America, where there's potentially a Nazi hidden in plain clothes. But yeah, I really loved this movie. It was such an interesting premise. The performances were incredible. Like, that's definitely a big standout of this film. Like, obviously Orson Welles did a good job, but it was really all of the actors. In particular, I want to call out Edward G. Robinson. He does a great job of basically being the actual lead. And then really it was Loretta Young. She dominated. Like, this movie, in order to stick the landing, it needed her to give a really good performance, and she crushed it. If she would have given it anything less, or like a different actor would have been in the role, I don't know if this movie would have quite worked as well as it did. But she just slam dunked, touchdown, all the sports metaphors you want to use. She nailed it. She was great. And yeah, she made this into a fantastic movie. But it's not only performances in the story, it's also, I think the direction was well, the cinematography was great, the whole setting was really interesting. It just, everything about this movie really worked. Yeah, so I really like this movie and I would totally recommend it. Next up is Confidential Report. This is a 1955 movie, and it's really just Orson Welles trying to recapture the magic that is Citizen Kane, and he doesn't really do it. The basic premise is messy, to say the least. But essentially, this random smuggler guy comes across a police chase, and he meets this victim as he's dying, and the victim's like, hey, look into these specific names I'm saying, and you'll get rich beyond your wildest dreams. And so he does look into them, and yeah, it's basically just a mystery about a rich old white dude told in a series of complex flashbacks. And it's okay. Like, it's kind of interesting, but I feel like the structure is super messy. There was actually a lot of studio interference with this movie. I believe there's like 3 different versions of this movie. So that could explain why I had issues with the structuring. But I think even if Orson Welles was able to just do his vision, that it still just would have felt like a rehash of Citizen Kane. I potentially could have liked it a little bit more, but I don't think it would have been by much. So yeah, I didn't particularly care for this movie. It's not bad, but it's not good either. So I wouldn't really recommend it. And lastly is The Trial. This is a 1962 movie, and holy shit is this movie pretentious. Spoilers, I didn't care for it, though I do know some people who did. The basic premise is this is a very, well, metaphorical, but probably more allegorical type of film about just a random citizen who's on trial, but it's not like a regular trial, it's like a weird, ridiculous trial. And yeah, it's also a movie in which people talk weird, intentionally so. The world is strangely dystopian, they don't really explain anything there. And it just, nothing about this movie was working for me. Like, within the first 30 seconds, I could tell that I was like not gonna enjoy it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. I can do this. I got this from the library. I need to watch it. And so I tried. I tried so hard. But no, I just could not care any less about this movie. It was just not my vibe at all. That being said, I brought this up to my buddy Josh, who has also seen this movie, but he actually likes this movie a lot. And also it has pretty good rankings on IMDb. Now, part of that could be because people know this is supposed to be a good movie, and so they just interpret it as, even though they didn't get it or even like it, they still ranked it high because they know it's supposed to be a good movie. movie. I definitely think that's happening to at least a percentage of the viewership. I do think people can enjoy this movie, and that's definitely fine, and no discredit to them as a person, but I do think there is a non-insignificant portion of those people who are full of shit. So yeah, I don't recommend it, though certain people like it, but I don't think that's going to be the majority of people. So in general, I would say no, don't give this movie a watch. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got The Stranger sitting at number 44 in the really like section. And then after that is Confidential Report sitting at number 113 in the meh section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is The Trial sitting at number 124 in the didn't like section. And this is out of a total of 132 old movies so far this year.